All right. We're talking with Pivotal Juncture. Hey, Travis. Hello?
There it is. Got
There
it.
you go.
How's it going?
You know,
Oh,
trying
yeah.
to stay alive and beat this boss, but having a hard time.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah.
Hopefully you're having fun, though.
Oh,
Well, I
yeah.
guess first thing first, long-time viewer, first-time caller. No.
That's what Steph did her first time, too, when she called in. It was so funny.
Oh, nice.
I was like, I expected this from you, Steph. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. But welcome in, dude. This is exciting. I mean, this is just a conversation I observed passively, of course, in the Discord. So it was really cool that you and Clover had connected over like a similar experience in terms of like, you know, what life has dealt with or life has thrown at you, so to speak. And as a like, I don't want to, it sounds so bad when I say this, but like as a dude who is comfortable with his sexuality, but is just hetero, like straight up.
Sure.
Like I'm not like, it's not perceivable to me. It was just really cool to see, and I guess like hear the conversation that you guys had. I said that with a quote, but it was awesome.
I mean, I think that's fine to say as a straight guy, just to recognize all that kind of stuff. I mean, it kind of goes back into the conversation that you were having with Dathanol just a minute ago. About when you're not looking for the representation, it's easy to miss.
Hey, Donald.
You don't really think about, because I mean I've had my own issues with that. I mean, as a white person and as before I'd accepted my own sexuality and just dealing with like it reminded me of a conversation I had with a cousin of mine once who had come out openly gay before I had even really fully addressed my own feelings internally.
Mm-hmm.
We were having a conversation one night and I was kind of expressing that I was having those feelings to him, just to sort of a person that I viewed as somebody like I could like safely have that conversation with and not have to deal with any sort of like extra explanations or like covering extra ground because they were already somebody
Right.
that had a shared sort of experience like that. I mean, I think that's the big thing that like Clover and I kind of bonded on. I mean, a lot of LGBTQI plus people have that sort of shared background of what it's like to have, trying to figure that out as you're growing up and living life, trying to deny a part of yourself. And like, what we talked about in like an Avatar earlier,
Yeah.
Can't deny parts of yourself because it's just not a healthy way to live. But
Because it blocks your chakras and you won't be able to attain avatar state unless you do that.
yeah, exactly, man, exactly. All the metaphors that go into that, right?
Yeah. Well, I think like I mean as somebody who's not like in the LGBTQ plus
Sure.
QIA. Sorry, I totally forgot. I forget letters, man. It's hard. It's
all right.
I got to get used to saying it. So please correct me so that I can like start doing it properly.
By no means an expert, but I'll try to keep us both honest.
Thank you. But yeah, I think like the sense of self and like getting in touch with yourself, like that, I feel like it's a little bit easier when it comes down to, being a straight white male, speaking from personal experience.
Yeah.
It's pretty straightforward. The things that I had to unpack were like my own emotions about like myself. I think sexuality is definitely thrown in there too, because like you're as a man, like growing up, especially white male in a Greek family, it's like you're strong and you need to have a family, like so you can. Right. That was kind of Russian, I don't know. And
no,
yeah,
I heard
so
it was there.
Yeah, you ingrain that sort of stuff is ingrained in you early on, and you don't really get to like feel, so it's more of like a suppression of emotion.
Sure.
In terms of how I would explain it, but when you're talking about like what you and Clover were talking about with like discovering your sexuality and how you felt about different genders and like your preferences and that sort of thing, like that's a whole nother bag. So I can't even like fathom what that was like for you. So you confided in your cousin first to like tread waters, I guess, right?
Yeah. For the well, first I want to say that I think that even even if you don't fit into one of those one of the boxes of minority or LGBTQIA plus or a person of color or anything like that, everybody has their own story.
Yeah.
And trying to belittle our own stories because it might not seem as bad, quote unquote, as somebody else's when you compare it side by side doesn't mean that it wasn't its own set of struggles for you. So
True. Yeah, that's something I also need to practice.
Well, that's one thing whenever I have conversations like this with straight people, that it's just that sort of like, you're allowed to have had trouble in your growing up too. It's okay.
Right. Very true.
but like, so for me, just coming to terms with all of it, like I knew I felt some kind of way about guys when I was really young. Probably like 11, 12.
Oh wow,
just started coming into puberty, and when those feelings actually start happening.
yeah.
Realized that I was having those kind of feelings about guys, and I got really black and white about it in the sense that, like, because growing up, gay was synonymous with the lesser. It was synonymous with like bad, or just like it was a joke. It wasn't something that you wanted to be okay with.
Yeah. It was used in derogatory language, especially around that age too.
Yeah, exactly. So when those feelings started coming up and I started sort of trying to reconcile that, I wasn't really embracing the side that it's okay, first off, but focus too much on that and just like, well, I can't be gay because if I'm gay then I'm less
not
than,
cool.
or, yeah. And so that for a long time really weighed on me, and just I didn't express that to anybody. I just sort of kept that to myself, tried to deny it over and over again. Would have urges and then have those times combating those
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough, I mean, unfortunate enough not to really have anybody growing up as even a little kid or even into my adolescence that I could be around on a regular basis that was in the community, to just have some form of functioning person that I could point to and say, oh, that's somebody that feels like I do. That wasn't, the butt of a joke in some rom-com or sitcom show or something like that.
Yeah.
And so when I ended up having some cousins that came out before I did, and I would talk to them and their significant others whenever I'd visit them, but they all lived far enough away that wasn't a real regular thing. But those were the first people that I came out to, and even into all the way into college, into my early 20s, because I didn't come out until I was 23, 22.
Wow.
And I would actually, I saw something recently I really liked. Instead of saying coming out, I liked it as letting people in. Just because it kind of changes the narrative, because you're not responsible for telling everybody who you are, but you want to let the people you care about know who you are.
Yeah.
But so I always picked people that it was, quote unquote, I guess, that I figured it'd be safe to tell, because I knew that they were, either gay or lesbian or bi or anything like that. So it gave that its own sort of level of comfort. But it wasn't, So it's just kind of comes into difficult where you don't really feel like there's people that you can talk to that can relate to your story.
Yeah. I think, just to add some perspective too, and feel free to elaborate on this, but when you're spending so much time like not fully embracing yourself and denying like who you are as a person, that has it's a whole nother emotional weight that gets added to it. I know, in terms of, and this, I guess this is where and I'll just explain a little bit about the reason why I love the LGBTQIA community so much is because it is the embracing of yourself that is the main message. It doesn't matter who you are, your sexual orientation or whatever. The main message that I always stood out to is yes, be proud of of, you know, your sexual preference and stuff like that, because it's who you are. But the main message to me has always come across of like, well, this is you just need to embrace who you are, and you need to fully realize yourself. And as somebody who, like, I mean, I definitely fit the description of a hetero white male or whatever, but I would consider myself more sensitive than what you would say like a stereotypical like white hetero male is, as a sensitive boy. And like, I like being, I know it's weird, but I like being cute, and I like I like being like lovey-dovey and shit, whether it's like my friends, family, or whatever. And that was never like really accepted. I always had to like stand up straight and be the man. You know, it was like I was the first boy born in like out of my family, like in my Greek family. Everybody knows my name. It's fucking weird, dude. It's like
now I've known some people, you know, Greek families that it's a lot of pressure.
And it's weird too. It's like, what's going on here? Like, I don't even know like a lot of my uncles and aunts names, because there's so many of them, but they all know who I am simply because I was the first boy like that was born out of the kids in my like mom's side of the family or whatever, you know. And so when I was like struggling to figure out like who I was and what I wanted to be, I denied a lot of my sensitive natures and my silly nature, because I was told, you know, all my life that this is not something that you can be, or should be. And it was really refreshing to like one of my favorite streamers is Luxy, like Luxy Games, and she's wonderful. She's all about open dialogue and talking, and she just like accepts people for who they are, and that's a beautiful thing. And not having access to that until like later part of your developmental life is very, I would imagine, like freeing. Like, can you describe some of the like when you started accepting like your
so I well, I mean, first of all, that I completely empathize with that, you know, the story that you were telling about your life just growing up and not really feeling like you can embrace you know your truth. Like, you know, the whole thing about you know that the whole community is just trying to live your truth. Like, don't hide who you are to help others, because that's not what it's about. But yeah, when I first started, I think so I don't know, I haven't talked to too many people about their coming out process. I get process, you know, how it was for them, but
well, it is a process. I mean,
I'm gonna call it a process, because I mean, there are still days where I feel like I'm, you know, recovering from from growing up like that. Like there was you know, even after I came out and after I was surrounded by more people in the LGBTQIA plus community, there was still a lot of just internalized homophobia that I didn't realize I was dealing with. And even when I, you know, started being comfortable before coming out, that I was, you know, that I started identifying myself as bi, even though I still didn't live, you know, out loud like that, I guess. And like the reasoning I gave behind it, why that was okay and not being gay was, you know, that it was okay that I could be bi, not gay, because that way I could still marry a woman and, you know, live a straight life. Which, you know, is fucked up. to think
dishonest is what it is, right? To yourself and whoever you'd be involved with.
Yeah, exactly. But it is when you finally have, or at least when I finally had that moment of openness with a group of people and not just like an individual conversation, it's really freeing. To just like weight is lifted, just feeling like there's now this entire group of people that know who I am, and I don't have to feel like I have to hide in front of them.
Because in a way, you're hiding from yourself too, right? So like, I know a lot of people are like, you shouldn't care what other people think, but that's ultimately how we learn and develop as human beings, is we gauge, you know, how people respond to our stuff.
And there's the real way to do that is to just be confident enough in yourself to be okay with, you know, what other people say or think about you, because you know that internally that's not true. But that's about having the confidence to be able to say and do that. If you're not caring what people think just because you want to be an asshole,
Yeah.
that's a little different. But like I think that's a big misconception about that, and I think that until you can really accept yourself and be confident in who you are, you can't really live like that.
True.
Not the right way, at least. But it, yeah. So my actual like coming out story is actually really funny because it happened in my fraternity.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
I'd gotten into college and joined a fraternity, and after the whole pledging process, they've got like one like tradition or like initiation ritual, whatever you want to call it.
Sure, yeah.
Where it's real aggressive, but also like effective in what it's supposed to do. Um, they put the pledges in front of the like the brotherhood that are all sitting there in the room on like couches and stuff like that. And you're just stood up there in front of them, typically with your pledge brothers, but um because all of mine dropped, it was just me up in front of a room of 30 people.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Nice.
I think like my big brother in the fraternity was like standing next to me, but still that's just one other person.
Sure, yeah. Usually I'm imagining like 12 people going through initiation, but it was just you.
Yeah,
It's kind of funny.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I was at a school that didn't have a really big Greek life.
Okay.
So you know, the chapters were all pretty small at the school for all the different fraternities and sororities and stuff. But I get up there and like, you know, first, you know, just few sort of like setting the mood kind of questions to like let you know that this is a serious kind of thing, and then eventually within a few minutes, they were asking like, all right, well, what's, you know, we need you to show us that you trust us, like as brothers, like what's something that you've never told anybody before that you know you need to, that you haven't told us. And it was just like a moment of clarity, like, oh, I'm just gonna do it.
Nice. Interesting. What an interesting way to come out. That is kind of funny for sure, but like, I wonder, I mean, that's really cool. I like
it was kind of like it was, well, so the way it felt, it was kind of like I was put into a position where I was finally just given permission to do it. You know what I mean? Like, I know that sounds
Thanks,
weird because nobody
Love
should
you,
have to
bud.
give you permission to be yourself, but it was that kind of feeling of just being in a room full of people that, you know, under the context of just like, we're going to accept you whatever you say,
Yeah.
but we need you to say it.
That's really cool though. Like, I don't know. It's they like set proper expectations, and then you were like, what's the first thing that came to mind? And it's obviously the one thing that you've been holding out, you know, like not willing to share. And that's a really testament to like how I mean, the relationship you not only had with like the people that were there, but also yourself. Like, you must have been feeling pretty I want to say like the word I want to say is like confident, or maybe it was just comfortable is the better word.
I'd probably, yeah, some sort of mixture of all of that, I think.
Yeah.
Because definitely the atmosphere of the group, like I'd gotten to know all of them throughout the semester, you know, already. So like we'd already developed that like at least a superficial level of friendship.
Yeah.
And it's just, you know, being put into a position of just like, hey, like we want to know and love all of you, so give us all of you.
Yeah. That's
And it
so
was just
weird.
like-
Usually, like, I mean, I'm sure not the only one, but you associate a lot of like fraternity shit with like getting fucking dunked on and like doing stupid
Yeah.
shit like for the
No,
dorm.
Right. No, that definitely was there too. But this was like this. That's why this night is like specifically like a special event that happens like right at initiation, is to like you know, show that you're part of our group, our little community.
Understood.
Which is why I kind of like, you know, I prefaced it by saying it's definitely an aggressive tactic to get people to open up.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think that the way that it was handled, at least in that event, because incidentally we ended up getting shut down because our nationals organization didn't think we made enough money for a nonprofit, but that's a different conversation. I only got to see one other initiation like that, so but everybody, the way they talked about it, sounded like it was always pretty effective for them.
Nicodemus. Sorry, we just got raided and the fucking monster alert went off in my ears.
Oh no.
So you were talking, I was like all relaxed and shit, and then I just heard, and I was like, ah! You guys brought me back to Visage days. Welcome in, Nicodemus, Rainhorse. Hello. Welcome in. Hello, everybody. My name's Steve. You mind if I do the intro real quick and just introduce myself? Okay,
yeah,
I'll be right back.
All right.
Welcome in, everybody. My name's Steve, KonkyTalks. Nicodemus, how was your stream? Big sweetie, how you doing? Welcome in, everybody. We're talking to Pivotal Juncture. He's sharing his coming out story, and we're talking about like embracing your own personality and all that. It's an awesome conversation. That's what we try to do every single time we're on the show. We play a game, usually a roguelike, so I can kind of turn my brain off and keep my hands busy. And people call in and they talk about like their experiences. And Pivotal was so kind to call and talk about it with me. And I feel, I don't know. When people trust me with super personal stuff like that, it makes me feel really good. And I think like the experience that's shared through those stories is also something that hopefully resonates with somebody who's watching. So thank you for choosing me to bring everybody over, Nick. Yeah, we're taking phone calls. So if you guys want to share yours, I mean, you're more than welcome to. I would love to hear about them. Before I go any further, let me introduce you to the show. This is my intro.
If should ever you fall, he's a true and true, real true dude, and all the land. When he's taking a shower or coming down the stairs, he's always got time for anyone who's there. Yeah! He's the coolest dude, he's got advice for you.
Quick disclaimer.
He's not an expert, he's a platonic smooch and a wait for you, because KonkyTalks is here for you.
Also, no sound. What do you mean? You couldn't hear the intro? Wait, did nobody hear the intro music? Oh, you heard it? Okay, cool. I know the beginning's very quiet. It's like ASMR, mustache comb shit. Yeah, sounded fine. Rainhorse, hi. Pixin, thank you for the follow. Let me give you a platonic kiss on the forehead. Mwah! Thanks for joining us. But yeah, so exclamation point call if you'd like to call in. I know a lot of people they're already members of Discord already. So if you're like not looking to join another Discord, totally fine. Just let me know that you want to speak. Put in your Discord tag in chat or DM me directly on Twitch, like whisper me, and I'll add you and then I can call you directly. Because I know a lot of people are like, oh, I don't want to be a part of another Discord. I got a lot of Discords.
I don't want to do it. I don't want any more Discords. It's stupid. I already got all my friends in one place. I don't need any more of that shit.
That's totally okay. You don't need to join mine. I'm not trying to force it on you, okay? It's just the easiest way for us to do the call stuff. All right? And if you do join the Discord, make sure you jump into the roles section and then choose a role. Just make sure you at the responsible boys so we can get you all that stuff. No, that's not true, Colt. Also, Colt, good to see you, my dude. Again, we're talking with Pivotal Juncture. Nick, thank you so much for bringing everybody over here. You're sweet. Supple boy. Can we get some more? Can we get some fucking? I'm gonna put some claps. Can we get clap in the chat, please? Thank you so much. Wonderful. Awesome. We're back with Pivotal Juncture, aka Travis. And how do roles? Check the pin tab, the pin messages, guys. All right, I'm back. Travis, I'm back. Thank you so much for your patience, man.
Oh yeah, man, no problem.
Ooh.
I like watching the intro video too, anyway. So
I gotta make some like funny like raid video or something for that's separate from the intro, and I want to keep that like I want to do the intro as like a special thing because I would love to get more people in at the start of the stream, but you know that's a whole separate conversation. Let's
no, let's talk about that. How does it make you feel? No.
I want it to be like a TV show that you tune into, like, you know, 7:30 hits and you're like, damn, I want to miss this intro. Fuck.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, make it like or you can make it like long enough, like the Game of Thrones one, so you have time to go get a bowl of popcorn.
That's true.
Get settled in, go to the bathroom one last time.
Yeah, I think it's catchy enough for sure.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah, Jack did a really good job of making it. If you guys want to know more about the music and who created it, !Jack in the chat. I'm sorry, we lost track of what we were talking about. We were talking about our truths.
Yes, true to ourselves.
Yes. So this was your coming out story. You had just confessed that you were gay to the initiation ceremony. People?
So I came out as bi at the time. No,
Okay,
you're good. I mean, labels are weird. At this point, I don't know what I'd label myself as. I kind of go with like queer as its own thing, but that always seems to sort of lead into another conversation of just like the used to be negative connotations of that word. So I don't know.
Oh, what do you mean? Yeah, because that was like a derogatory term along with like the F word and all that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it's, you know, while it feels accurate because
so is queer not this is my naivete, right? So, and I'd love to I like hearing, you know, what people's perspectives are on it. What is the difference between being queer and gay?
So queer is kind of just an umbrella term for like I hate saying something just because it like, especially like non-straight or non-white, because it implies like a hierarchy of things, I think.
Oh, gotcha.
But yeah, it's essentially just an umbrella term, I think, for the, you know, LGBTQIA plus people. It's just you know, non-heteronormative.
Okay, that makes sense. I would just say non-heterosexual, right?
Yeah, that's one way too. It's a bit of a mouthful.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Well, heteronormative seems like it's a mouthful.
Oh, true. But I don't just drop that in everyday conversation.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. Heteronormative.
You know, we like our labels to be like one word buzzwords.
That's true. Easily understandable. Yeah.
So like, you know, more often than not, I think I go with bi.
Oh, interesting.
It's easier. But
okay.
I guess my attraction is more just on the person.
Okay.
Regardless of.
Is that asexual, or am I confusing it with something else?
So asexual is kind of its own category. There's either just like no sexual attraction at all.
Okay.
They're just not interested in like, they're not necessarily not interested in sex. So there's like aromantic asexual, which they're not really looking for romantic love, but might still but then there are other people that identify as asexual because they're not really looking for sexual attraction, but might still enjoy the actual activity of sex.
Oh, got it. Okay.
It's on, you know, if I'm being honest, it's a subject that I'm not really well versed in, so I don't know how detailed I want to get about it. I don't want to start saying something when nobody's able to you know, on the spot correct me.
That's okay. Yeah. Hey, you know, we're just two boys exploring our information highways that we have in our own brains, and we set proper expectations. You guys saw the intro. I'm not an expert, and neither is the person I'm talking to unless they proclaim to be, and I brought them on specifically for it. So,
I'm not an expert.
No pressure.
I'll say that for the record.
Not an expert. Yeah.
Into the microphone, please.
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, you know, I had come out as bi when I did come out, and I kind of was sort of touchy about that at first. Now it's more just I want to make sure I'm clear if somebody's looking for like a legit label for things. Just because just saying labels are weird doesn't really answer a question.
That's true, yeah.
But think I just lost my train of thought there.
That's okay. You're talking about how you came out as bi.
Yeah. And the group
For your
was
fraternity. What do you call them? Frat friends? What are they?
Well, that's actually really funny. For my fraternity specifically, and I'm sure it's kind of that language is changing as the just general lexicon changes. Fraternity brothers is kind of what you'd call the group.
Okay.
But incidentally, I've actually had in my chapter for my fraternity 2 brothers come out as trans. So
Oh wow.
so now they're sisters.
That's
So
cool.
And watching that happen was actually really beautiful, just because there was still just so much acceptance and just love from the the people, the good guys that were in the fraternity.
Hey,
Because
Wally Way, Sydney.
every group has its bad
Also,
eggs.
Colt, this game's
but
great.
luckily, those
It's
ones just
perfect
sort
for
of fade into the
conversations.
woodwork in this
Yeah.
particular. But yeah, my experience was actually really really nice with that, and I went to school in
It's not multiplayer, Drinking
Richmond,
Bear.
Virginia, at VCU, and they that's a really like liberal school, like liberal area, a lot of young people around, big LGBTQI plus community. So like when I came out, I then just started coming out to everybody.
Oh, okay.
I'd meet somebody, and then within the first like 10 minutes of conversation, oh, and by the way,
I'm
But I
by
think
the
it-
way.
yeah, I'm by the way.
By the way. Wait, I'm sorry. What? I'm by the way. I'm by the way. Oh.
Thanks for telling. No, it was. I think it was a lot to do with just one. I mean, just being 22 years old, young and immature,
Sure.
and just being, I guess, excited to finally be able to say it out loud. That
Yeah.
I just was happy to just tell anybody.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, but after it was one of those like feelings of just like after I did it, it was just a sense of like, why did I ever wait this long to do that kind of thing. So it was a nice start to growth. I mean, like I said, I still had a lot that I needed to work out after even that that event. But it's like that that meme or not meme, the post that I put in there when that started the conversation with Clover is you kind of have all of that repressed for so long that once you finally pull that block on the dam, or like break the wall, you sort of are forced to treat it like you're starting fresh.
Yeah.
So like
Well, you become a new person when you're embracing this portion of yourself. You know what I mean? You go forward with more confidence and less uncertainty, and it's I don't know, it's a beautiful thing. Like I think like we're all learning and growing at different rates, and I think the hardest part about like doing all of this stuff, especially if you've been repressing like how you feel about whether it's the your sexual attraction or deviation or whatever you want to call it, or just like your personality, if you're refusing to embrace these things, like it's almost like you don't really know yourself, and when you don't know yourself, it creates uncertainty in other aspects of your life. And that's just my personal opinion, like I don't know, would you agree?
Yeah, I would. I mean, once you start to unpack that, you realize like that's what I was talking about with like a continuing process of coming out. Like I came out 8 years ago, and I still feel like there are days where I'm reminded that there are still things that I need to work on coming out about, or seeing how that now affects this aspect of things when I start thinking about it more.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's just a continual process of growth. But I mean, like, feel going back to what I was saying before, like everybody's got their struggle, their story. Like that's part of life. I think that coming to terms and accepting yourself to be able to be the fully formed person that you're supposed to be.
Yeah, I think like a lot of it, and we've talked a lot about it on the show too, so I know you're familiar, but for anybody who like hasn't heard this before, and I'm not entirely sure where the conversation came from, we have so many conversations on the show, it's easy to lose track of it, but
it's all one stream of consciousness.
Yeah, exactly. The rule that you guys may have read in the panels, like the whole "you are me living a different life," I have a big firm belief in that, because I'm constantly reaffirmed that, you know, even though our lives may be different and we may be different people, I feel like a lot of people handle a lot of the struggles that they have very similarly. And whether it's like a refusal recognition of like, you know, parts of your personality or like the toxic relationship you're in or like whatever it is, you're gonna be going on this journey, and sharing that experience is a really powerful thing because it allows people to recognize they're not alone. When we constantly think like this is like on our own journey, we need to figure it out by ourselves, but the truth is there's the reason why we've progressed so much as people, as human beings, is because we've had generations before us sharing information and knowledge to us. And if we don't continue to do that, I mean, there's a chance that a person just like yourself is struggling with reconciling, you know, what they feel, and they're never gonna seek the help or not have the opportunity to, because I mean, part of the hard part about doing this stuff and the way we live nowadays is that things are too expensive for us to take care of ourselves. You know, like mental health is health, I think, and we don't have the resources in order for us to make ourselves better in a certain way or level up or whatever you want to call it. We can do that, I think, through podcasts and self-development and that sort of thing. But I think the most powerful thing is always like sharing experiences and listening to what people have to say. So thank you for sharing your story, Pivotal. I'm really humbled about it, and thank you.
Yeah, thank you for, I guess, creating an environment where it's safe and easy to do stuff like this. I mean, I always enjoy having conversations with people, and it's lovely to see an environment where that's, you know, welcomed and celebrated.
Yeah, I
So
think
thank
that's
you.
yeah, of course. Yeah, for anybody who's listening too, I know it looks like I've got Jesse waiting to talk as well. So if you guys see Pivotal in the chat, make sure you say hello. And I know this won't be our last conversation too, Travis. Thank you so much.
Oh yeah, man. I'll talk to you anytime.
Sounds good.
Have a
I'll
good
see you
one.
in the chat.
See you in the chat.
See you in the chat. Love it. See you in the chat.
See you in the chat.
Awesome. All right. That was Travis. Thank you so much, Travis, for coming in. Jesse, let me know when you're ready and I'll pull you in, okay? And if you guys are hanging out in the call queue, if you want to talk to each other, you're more than welcome to. I'm not going to kick you guys out of there or anything like that.